What's up, painting friends? It's Stoof here. Welcome back. Today we're going to do a painting tutorial of this right here. These are beautiful little Peruvian lilies that were in my Valentine's Day flower bouquet from my husband, and I wanted to paint these. And if you see in the background, you have 2 more flower painting tutorials coming up soon. But for Valentine's Day today, we're going to do these guys right here, and this is going to be a real-time acrylic painting tutorial. Alright, so we're just going to use a variety of different brands of acrylic paint here. This one is Saddle Brown by Magic Fly. If you have a burnt umber, that would work here as well, or a raw umber. This is Midnight Blue, also by Magic Fly. And we're going to use some Phthalo Blue by Liquitex Basics. Gonna use some Phthalo Green by Liquitex. Going to use some Olive Drab by Magic Fly. Some Sangria Red by Arteza. Use some Primary Yellow by Liquitex. Some Titanium White by Liquitex. Need lots of whites. Pink by Arteza. Yellow Ochre by Arteza. And you can use any brand paint for these tutorials. These are more on the budget-friendly side paints. This is Yellow Pale by Arteza. Looks pretty close to Primary Yellow. What else? Let's have some Spring Green by Magic Fly. Some Deep Violet by Liquitex. And some black. And finally, let's add some magenta. Here we go. Alright, so to start this painting, you're going to need a palette, these paints, these are my acrylic paints, a cup of water to rinse off your brushes. This is an 8" by 10" canvas panel, but you can use whatever size you'd like. We also have some paint brushes here. I have a large brush just to kind of get the background paint down. I have a medium, like semi-round brush. I have a liner brush for the little details. I have an angled brush that's pretty small. I have 2 round tip brushes that are small. It'll help me get like the nice blending of the colors on the petals. And then we have this medium flat tip brush, which is going to be great for the leaves. We also need some napkins for cleaning off the brushes. Alright, so the first step is pretty quick. We're just going to sketch out the concept, and then we're going to paint the background in, and we'll leave the white space for where our flowers are going to be. So I'm going to start with this angled brush. I'm going to dip it in the water, and I'm just going to take a little bit of this Midnight Blue color and thin it down with that water on my brush. And then we're going to start by sketching out the... I don't see the whole top of the glass where the flowers are in, but I see a little section of it, and I want to get that sketched out even though I can't see all of it, just because that tells me, okay, this is the only space that the flowers can come out of. So I'm going to set my scale here now, and I'm going to make this be pretty big actually. And from the angle I'm looking at it, it's actually a little bit rounder. So basically just put an oval here. I'm about 1 inch up from the base of the canvas, and if we put this into thirds, I kind of come to a little bit past the third mark, so a little bit past the middle third. So it comes a little bit into those other sections there. And then I'm just gonna do like a little lip for the base of that glass, even though we're not gonna see much of that. And then we're gonna get a little more paint, water it down. And now we know where the basic lip, I'm just gonna read through that line so you can kind of get an idea of where it is, just like that. Now we have an idea of where that lip is, and the lip is really only exposed at my viewpoint from right here. So I'm just gonna start to sketch the shapes of these flowers, and keeping in mind where the back of the cup is, even though I can't see it. So this flower here, the center of the flower is basically right above that lip in the center, from left to right, and just above that little lip line. And we've got a stem that comes, or a petal that comes out like this, and both points just kind of meet right there. And then from this viewpoint, the flower is kind of facing down, so we're going to do a petal that has a much different angle because of the orientation of the flower. So it's a much shorter and stubbier looking petal. Even though the petals are the same length, because of this angle, this one's going to be much stubbier. And then here, about halfway from the top of this petal to the bottom, is where the next petal is going to start. And this one has a bigger top like that. And this meets just like that. So this one's a little wider as well. And we've got, let's do this one here. There's one that's at an angle like this. You can only see, this is like a curved line, and then this one's got that lip. And then we've got another one here that's kind of on the back. Another stubby one. Just goes beyond that lip line of the cup, and it's got curves like that. It's like an E, letter E kind of. Okay, and then it comes back in, and let's see, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, there are 6, either 5 or 6 petals. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on that one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, there are 6 petals. This one we just can't really see that 6th petal very much. It looks like it's kind of just down here. Okay, so there's that, and then the stems kind of come out from right there, just to give you an idea. So we got our first one sketched out. Let's move over one. Gonna mix a little bit of black in here just so you guys can tell the difference between each flower. And then we've got, I see a stem that kind of comes out and down right there. So this is the top of this one, of this petal here. You want to start this line about the same height as that and bring it down at an angle, and then change your angle to be steeper, and then meet this one with it, and they kind of meet right at the base of the canvas, or kind of slightly go off of the canvas. And that just kind of folds under, and there's a little bit of the underleaf there. All right, and then next, so we're seeing that this is the outer edge of the cup, so we have to make sure our flower is not going past that. So I'm just gonna do this little petal there, and then we've got our little stems coming out from the inside, stamens or whatever those things are called. And then we have, so we did this one. There's another petal here that kind of touches or slightly goes behind this petal in the foreground. And I'm just gonna, it's got more of that weird E shape again. And another petal here. This one goes like that. And what else do we have? We've got a petal, this is the leaf. All right, so our petal kind of comes in front of the leaf here. And it's a little wavy. Got another one here. Comes out, just meets like that. And another one right here. Just comes down like that. And let's see, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, those are all the petals for that one. And let's see, we got another stem that I see over here. So we'll put that in there. And another stem back here. And there's a little hint of a flower visible back here. You can really only see the back side of this petal and its little reproductive parts. And then it kind of goes behind this one down here. You can see just like a little bit of that in there. And then there's another green stem in there. All right, moving over again. Let's take more of our blue. So the sketch is probably the most difficult part. Once you can get the sketch, then it's basically just like a coloring book and you're just coloring everything in. So you want to get the sketch accurate. And I'm sketching using paint because then we're not going to see any pencil marks or pen marks or anything like that. We'll get everything just kind of blended in as paint on the canvas, and I'm thinning the paint down so it doesn't give me any texture. If you use thick paint for your sketch, first of all, it's going to take a long time to dry. Second of all, you're going to be leaving some texture on the canvas that might interfere or might not make you happy with the finished result. Okay, so right there I just did, there's a little petal kind of coming in there. All right, and then a plant, that's a leaf. There's a leaf there. Okay, now there's a little flower down here where I see some reproductive parts. There's a petal right here. This flower's kind of like hanging down over the lip. And then it's got a little base down there that kind of goes down under the canvas. And another one here that kind of hides behind this one. And I can see a little bit more of one right here. And there's those reproductive parts. Okay, so there's that little flower down there. And let's move over to our purple flower that I'm seeing, this guy right here. We're gonna start with the inside of the flower is just on that lip there, because it's kind of above it, so it can be past it. And we're gonna start with this stem, and the stem at the base of the flower, and this little petal there. And then there's another petal that comes up like this and down, another petal that kind of shoots at an angle up and comes down, another one. Let's do this one first. This one's here and comes down. There's one behind it that does that weird E thing. And then we've got a big one, comes down, it's got the E shape again, and then we're back to the middle. Got our little reproductive parts there. All right, continuing to move back, we've got that leaf there, and now I see there's a center of a flower right here that we can't really see because a petal is blocking it. This petal just comes down. This petal comes up. Kind of make that little sketch there. Here's the little reproductive parts coming out of the center. This petal's kind of underneath. And let's see, we've got another petal right here. And I think the other petals are like folding down this way and we can't really see them. I see just one more, like right here. Okay, good. So we got that one. And then we just got like some dark green in this area, so I'm just gonna kind of fill that in with dark for now. All right, let's move to another flower right behind it. I see these little reproductive things, and then we've got a petal there, kind of comes down. Another petal right there. Another petal there. And a petal right here. I see one starting there. And that's all we can see for that guy. And then we got the purple ones in the far background. So now I'm looking at this guy here. This kind of starts right there with the little center parts, reproductive parts. And then it's got this petal here. Got another petal, comes up. Does that E shape, comes back down. Got another one there. Those two meet and come back to center. Another one here. Does more of the E shape with like a weird fold on it. And we've got another one behind here. It's got the E shape. And there's this guy here that I missed. Kind of folds behind this one. There. Alright, looks good. I'm going to bring this stem up a little higher. See another stem back here. And then we've got another petal. The E shape back here. This flower is just facing backwards, so we can't really see much other than this petal back here. Maybe another little one right there. There's a stem here. And we got that flower. I see another stem. Oh wait, here's a, we got this flower. There's this stem. Okay, there's another little flower that I see right here. Just barely. Got those little reproductive parts. And that, and then there's a stem there. All right, so now we're looking at this and I want to get just like a little more balance. So I think I'm just gonna add like a stem right here as well. Maybe like another one right there and another stem kind of right there, even though they're not there in real life. Now things are a little more balanced and centered, and I might actually remove this flower too, just so it's not sticking down off the canvas and the flowers kind of fit. All right, we're gonna put this brush in the water. And now we're going to make a background color. So since our flowers are pink and purple, I want to go with a background color that's somewhat complementary. So we're going to mix brown with ochre and a little bit of this olive green. And then some black, so I want it to be dark. So it's got hints of the complementary colors. So the complementary color to purple is like a yellow, and then pink is not quite on the color wheel because it's just red with white, but the opposite of red would be green. So if we could get this color here, which is like a green, yellow, brown, dark color, then it's like giving us subtle complementary vibes that will just make our attention be drawn more to the flowers. So again, that's black, brown, ochre, and olive. And I'm just covering up the canvas on the outer edges. Just kind of going right up to all those little petals and leaves that I outlined. Take some more black, brown, ochre. Just getting good even coverage of paint. Got a petal there. If you accidentally paint it over something, that's not a big deal. You can always paint a layer over it and make it look like what you want it to look like. It's the great thing about acrylic paint is you can always cover up a mistake. And then, yeah, I think I said I want to cover up this flower here. So we'll do that. You can keep it if you would like to keep that flower, but I figured I would take it out. Now we're gonna take a little bit of the midnight blue and white. Just blend it right over your black. And we're just gonna put this down here where the vase is for now. We can do a little bit more with that later. Maybe. Alright, so now we know where the vase is. And if you want to spice things up with the background, you can just take some black and ochre and just start to like kind of patch, making little crisscross marks with the brush. Gives you a little bit more of like a textured background. You can make it a little darker on the outer edges too. That'll help draw your attention into the center. And you can add a little bit more of like, maybe add a primary yellow with some of that green. Just like right here. Start right around the inside and work your way out. But we want to keep it pretty dark so that we don't distract from the flowers, because those are the focus. So you don't want to have too light of a background. You want it to be pretty dark. All right. Now we're ready to put that brush in the water, and we can let the background dry for a little bit and then start painting the flowers. So this should take about 15 minutes to be nice and dry, because I didn't make the paint too thick for the background. But if your paint was put on pretty thick, you need to take a little bit longer, let that background dry. You can do that. Or you could just start working right away with painting the flowers, but if you do that, then your colors might blend a little bit with the background color. Alright guys, so it's been about 10-15 minutes, and now I'm ready to start adding some color to the flowers. So we're going to start with the greens for the stems and like the darker green shadowy parts that are in between flowers, and then we'll go in and paint the actual flowers after we filled in the spaces between them. So to start, we're going to take some phthalo green with some of our brown and some ochre. Maybe we'll mix in a little spring green here too. That looks pretty darn close. Just a tiny bit more phthalo and a little bit of white too. There we go, looking good. Maybe a little bit of primary yellow. I just like color blending. Alright, so you guys got all that? That was like 6 colors I mixed in there. Okay, so we're gonna take this stem. I'm gonna start with first, if I can find it again, because I painted over it. I see this one, let's do this one. So this one goes right here, just comes up, and comes back down. Just goes right up to this petal. And let's see what else. I added one back here. Actually, I see that I didn't totally fill in the background around that, so I'm going to touch that up. And if you do something like this where you notice that you did not totally fill in all of the background space where the background space should have gone, then again, easy fix. Just add some back to the painting. Okay, good. And now we can add this stem here. And I'm holding the brush at an angle so that I can get a nice crisp line that can get nice and thin at the end there. What else do we got? We got one in here. You see one. And there's one here too. All right, let's see. So this guy ended there. This petal's right here. This petal's there. So yeah, this is the stem. And I'm gonna cut it, I'm gonna change the angle of it a little bit so it's cropped within the painting and not going off the edge. It's just my own preference. Looks good, and it's got a little shadow under there. All right, where else? We've got one here, see? Here's that E. And then it's about right here. All right, now I'm gonna start to blend in more of my phthalo green and some black. And spring green. And some phthalo blue. And that's gonna give me this shadow color. So I'm gonna get this spot, just kind of paint over that where we have a shadow. And then at the bottom here, I'm just gonna start to work that up. Just start from the base and just kind of let it blend up into your highlight color. And then there's a shadow on here because this is right under a petal. And then this one's got a shadow on this end. And you can mix a little bit of brown into there too. This guy's pretty dark. Alright, what else? I see one right here. It's pretty dark. And let's go back to our kind of highlighter color. Just add a little more olive and yellow. And spring green. And ochre. Put one here too somewhere. Looks good. I think there's one. Let's just throw one like right here where we would have had that other flower. And you could take your shadow color and build that up from the bottoms on these ones. Looking good. And then let's just take a little bit of white and some yellow. Get it nice and blended well in the brush. Make sure you don't have too much on your brush. And let's just do, holding your angled brush like this so that you get a nice thin line. Just do like a line down the center on each of these to show the vein on the leaf where the fold is. It's not going to be perfectly in the center on every single one of these. Alright, now our leaves are looking nice, and we can take some of the shadow color, add a little bit of phthalo blue and a little hint of black in there too. And you can start to add a little bit of these green color in the base just to show that, like, hey, the stems are coming down into the vase too. Okay, and next we can start working on the flowers. There definitely are more leaves in there, but I'm a little confused about where they are right now. So we're gonna do the flower petals first and then we'll get to those leaves. So I'm gonna keep using this brush. at first here. Just cleaning it off really well. And we're gonna take some violet with white and like a hint, just a little bit of phthalo blue. That looks nice. Pretty purple. And I'm just going to start by getting the edge of my flowers. And just kind of get the outer edges of the petals with this color. Leave the center part alone for now. Put this petal here. And use your brush, the angled brush, to get that nice sharp edge. Make sure you're not leaving any white space between the background and your petal. And we've got one here. There's that other little one that's right in front. And then this guy here. This one's mostly just purple. All right, now we're just gonna take some violet with a little bit of black. And I'm gonna put that at the tips of these while the paint's still wet, kind of letting it blend softly into the color that we put down first. Kind of carry it down a little farther in the center. And I'm not pressing too hard with the brush onto the canvas here. I'm pressing very gently to get this color on here, because I want it to just blend in. The ones that have like the E, the purple comes down even more, this darker purple, than it does on these two. And then we'll just take some more violet. Kind of comes in the insides of the lighter purple. All right, and then this one here has that darker purple too. Need a little more. And anytime you have too much paint on your brush, just take a paper towel or a cloth and wipe that down. All right, looks good. All right, and then we got this guy here. We'll start with that lighter color for this petal. Kind of comes up in there, so now we can take more of our magenta or violet and black, and we got this petal. There. White, violet, and blue. And a little brown for under here. And let's take this a little more violet. Bring that down here for this one. And a little more violet. The base of this one. And then we need some violet with a little bit of black and brown and ultramarine or phthalo blue. And we're just going to get this outline a little bit sharper for that petal there. Same thing at the base of this one, making that a little darker. And same thing on this edge on this guy. Just Make it a little darker so the petals stand out a little more. All right, now let's just wipe down that brush. And we're gonna take some white with a little bit of ochre. And maybe a tiny bit of brown. And put that here. A little more on this one. Kind of pulling up, pressing really gently again just to get the paint on there. And I see I need a little bit more of my violet. Just trying to get a nice soft blend of color there. And then once this is on there, we can blend these two together, just lightly going back and forth over them, not pressing too hard. Getting that nice soft blend. Looks good. All right, let's touch up this one here. A little more black and magenta. And then let's put like a little outline there. And here. Ah! Get a little bit of black. Just giving them a little outline so that they stand out from everything else a little bit better. Oh, this one needs its dark purple top. Blending that in. And then we've got the magenta with black. And it just holding your angled brush at an angle like this so you get a nice line. We're just gonna do some little dots, dabs, to create these little lines because it has these pretty little lines that come up out of the petal. Come all the way down from center. Same thing with this one. And I can't see too much here, but we can do a little bit more texture with the dark purple. All right, looking good. I'm gonna take a little bit of black and blend it in with this white and ochre. And just get a little bit of a little violet in there too. And just get a couple lines under here for this part. Little magenta, white, and blue. I'm just going to touch up this back of this petal. little outline there. And then we just have like some of this green color, just like a little dab of it in these three. And then there's like a little bit of brown right under it. There. And then we gotta do our little stamens and inner parts. And we're just gonna mix some magenta with a little pink. And we'll thin that down a little bit. And just do a couple little lines. I made these lines a little too thick. And a liner brush probably would have been better there. And we're just gonna take some black with the green color and just put little dabs for the spots on there. And there we go. Got that one done. Now this one back here, let's take our magenta, black, and we'll get this part done first. Then we'll take some of our white, add a little bit of phthalo blue, and we can get the outer edges. Then get a nice soft blend. Very gently pressing to get these colors to blend, then taking the extra paint off the brush. Lets it blend even better. Okay, now we've got some green from this middle point, kind of comes down, and there's like a dark line here as well, kind of comes all the way down, and then a few little, actually, you know what, first I want to get this a little lighter at the base. Let that blend up, and even a little lighter on the outer parts, it's a little more white. Let's get that little bit of color brightened up. Just creating these lines, and then we can do the darker purple lines. So you can water your brush, get a little bit of water on your brush and dip it in the paint. It can help you get that textured look there. And we can bring a little bit up on this one too that we did before. Looks good. A couple coming down on this one. All right, nice. One more of that white color for the bottom. All right, it's looking good. Alright, and we've got another purple one right here. So let's work on that guy while we're still doing the purple flowers. This one, let's get our magenta with white and a little bit of phthalo. Did a little too much phthalo that time. So we're just going to add more magenta and white. And that looks much better. And then we're going to start with this one here. Oh, still looks a little too cool actually. That's better, okay. And we're gonna start with this one. Goes like this. And we got one right here. Another one right here. Let's take a little more magenta and white just to warm up this part of the petals. And let's see, this one here's got more of this color. And now we can take some of our magenta and black. Touch up these center parts that have that darker purple. Or sorry, I keep saying magenta, this is violet. Magenta's over there. And I'm just blending this down, making it come down a little more in the center for that one. And now this guy back here needs one. Good, and there's just like a little bit on the tips of these guys. And this one's dark in the center too. Can come down more in the center. And we'll start with the darker color for this one. It's kind of like a medium. It's kind of in between the light and dark colors there. This one's pretty dark on the edge. Alright. I'm just going to blend these together, this outer edge into that lighter purple. And blend some lighter purple into this one. And I'll put that darker purple right here at the edge. And purple and a little ochre and white for this part in the center here. Just starts to get kind of dark. A little brown and black too, maybe. And then we need to mix a little bit of ultramarine blue with our dark purple. Actually, let's mix it with our light purple and add a little more magenta. Just cool that down. And we're going to put that here where there's a shadow under this petal. Alright, now we can take our white with our ochre I didn't really clean off my brush, so I still have some darker colors in there. And we're gonna add the more white creamy color that's in these flowers in the middle. Just kind of blend it up into the other colors, and then we'll take some white, a little more ochre, tiny bit of yellow, and just kind of add that, build it on top. Take the extra paint off your brush. You can blend it. Very softly pressing to get this blend. Looking good. Got a little bit more of that color. This part here. A couple lines coming up right there. And then we got just like our lighter purple coming up on this one. And we're going to mix a little bit of black and brown into the white. It's coming down there. Very good. And then we'll take some black with magenta and get this outline. Darken up the edges. Just want to get a little separation between those two petals. And I could see like a little bit of a pink petal back there, so that's what's going to go there. Let's see, next I think I want to lighten these up just a bit more. But while I'm waiting for this to dry a little more, let's go with that green color. Just take a little Bordeaux red with our green. A little bit of phthalo in there too. Just put that there. A little bit on this one. And then add a little brown underneath. Just taking a little more magenta and lightening up the edge of this guy. Cleaning off my brush really well. And now we'll take some white with a little ochre. But mostly white and a tiny bit of this olive green color. And that's dry enough now where we can really build up that light. So I put some paint down, take the extra paint off, and just go very gently with the brush, back and forth, letting it blend right on your canvas. Alright, that looks better. And now we can add those darker purple lines that this one had. So we'll just take the angled brush and do these little marks. putting the paint on pretty thick here. They don't have to be perfect, just try not to get them too like blended. I want them to be like a solid standout line. There we go. Looking good. And now I'm going to use the liner brush like I should have for this guy. And I can actually still touch that one up, which I'll do first. I'll just take some white with magenta and just touch up these lines. There. And we can start with the magenta and white, just a little bit darker. A little bit of blue in there too. And we'll add some right here, here. And I'm just watering this paint down a little bit so it'll give me a little more control. There we go. And you can underline those. Some of them are a little darker. Just go right over what you had. And touch up these ones too. And then take your green, full of black, full brown, and touch up these two a little bit. Alright, that's looking better. And I'm going to take my liner brush and just touch up this a little bit too. It's just a little too not standing out for me. Just kind of darken that a little bit right there. Looks good. Alright, now let's go to the pink flowers. So let's start with our angled brush. Just clean it off really well. And we're going to start with white and a little bit of pink. Tiny bit of violet got in there too, that's okay. Alright, and we're going to start with, let's start with this one. So we've got this, same thing, we got that like E shape. Kind of comes up a little more on this one, there we go. And we'll just bring this color all the way down. There's this one, this petal, got another petal here, that does the E. Actually has to come out a little more. And you can just color in most of the flower with this pink color. We're going to end up doing some layering here. And we're going to mix a little bit of phthalo blue and black and with this pink. Because this one's more in shadow. So it's got to be a little cooler. So you can see this is our nice warm pink. This is our cooler pink for the colors in shadow, for the petals that are in shadow. And this one's in shadow too. And then this one's not really in shadow here. We got one. Alright, so we got that one filled in. I see a little bit of dark space here, so I'm going to take some phthalo green with black and Bordeaux red and just fill in those little dark spaces with this dark green color. I'm just going to underline this leaf that I put in there. Make it a little darker at the top. And then I guess it should have a shadow under here for being under those. Okay. I'm going to add a little bit of white with my midnight blue and black. And we're just going to put like a little bit of our lip here. And then a little brown in there too. Just show like a little bit of this glass. Just adding a little more green in there. Black. Just want to get this done first because this is in the background behind this pink flower, so I wanted to make sure we're basically all good down here. Alright, that looks good. All right, let's move up to this one. Just putting some base pink down. Mix in pink and white. And we'll get this petal here. Another one. Can't really see the petal, but you can see the little side part of it. Another petal here. Filling in all that space again with the pink. And we've got one here. Again, we're just getting the shapes for these pink flowers filled in with a base color of pink. And we're doing this because if we were to just paint white and pink over the sketch, then it would show up like it'd be see-through. You'd see that blue through the white. So I'm starting by just adding this base pink layer to kind of cover up the sketch marks. So in our next layer where we add some white, you won't see through the paint as much. Alright, we got another one here. This one's a little more in shadow. This is the one that cuts over that leaf. Alright, looking good. And there's like one more that is in shadow back here. Just gonna take some black, a little magenta. Make this one darker, because this, I don't know if it's part of this flower or another one, but can't really see what's going on with that one. Alright. Got more. Here's one. This one covers up the leaf there. It's got a shadow under here. I'm just putting some shadows where I know shadows are going to be, so it makes things a little bit easier later when I'm putting more color down. And it's got these little stamen things sticking out of it. I probably should just fill that in with the background color. So we'll take some black and some yellow and ochre. And we're just gonna darken this, everything above this petal here, to match more of the background. Okay. There's like a little one right there. And we've got some more petals. Here's one here. And let's see, this one's got one right here. Then it's got this section in shadow under it. Got more pink right here. This section, take a little brown with my pink. This is really in shadow over here. And then we've got some pink right above that. And we'll get back to pink and white. This one here. And then we can see a little bit of a petal over here. And one in shadow down here. It's also more pink. All right, and that leaves us with these sections here that we need to add something in there. So we see we have green, black, a little Bordeaux, and yellow. That gives us a nice deep shadow green. And we can just put this in a few spots in here. This one's a little bit lighter right here. You can mix a little bit of phthalo blue in there too to switch it up. And a little bit of that spring green. And I see that one more pink spot back here. Let's see down here. So just check anywhere that you have a white spot on your canvas. See if that should be a petal from a flower or if that should be some dark green shadows. And just kind of go from there. Cover up all the white space, and once that's done, then we'll be ready to move forward with the detail on these flowers. I'm gonna build up that shadow right here. All right, so now we're gonna let the pinks dry a little more, and then we'll start to add some detail. So I'm gonna use this brush. It's like a long bristled, round-tipped brush, and we're gonna start with the background ones. So I'm going to take some white and a little bit of ochre. Maybe a tiny, tiny dab of brown. And like a tiny dab of this midnight blue color. Just to tone down that white so it's not so extreme. I'm going to dip that in the water just a little bit. And we can start to add the white part, the flower. Kind of just comes down like that on that petal, and then we can see just this like tiny bit there. Right here's white on this petal, kind of goes up the center, and then a little on the tip of this one, kind of outlining that. Right here we've got a little, this one kind of comes down. All right, and then I'm just going to get this one real quick because this one's back here. Should be a nice easy one to do. Then we're just going to take some pink And a little bit of black. And just bring that brush stroke in. And then let's see, we'll do some brown with magenta and white. And that gives us that one there. All right, now let's take some pink, a little magenta, and some brown, and a little more magenta. And this color will be used for the outer edge here. And then just some pink with white. To connect the two together. And we're softly blending, taking the extra paint off the brush and just blending it out. Keeping these up and down motions. And what else can we do? Let's go to this one. Separate the petals with that dark pink on the sides. And that kind of fades into that white color. And we could take some of our spring green with a little bit of ochre. White. And put that color in the center, kind of coming down. Kind of fades into that white. You want to work through this and do all of this while your paint's still wet so you can get a good blend of color. And let's take some magenta, a little bit of black. And that'll get this section here is nice and dark. And then we've got some magenta with a little bit of black and pink for this shadow under this one. And we'll just carry that down. Then we'll turn that into white with a little black. Down there it gets all in shadow. The color just fade up. And then over here, let's take some pink, touch up this side. And you can add more of that green color. On this one. See just a little bit there. Tiny bit on this top of this guy. And that's about all we can see on that one. I'm gonna darken up the shadow even more down here. I guess we just got those little inner parts of the flower, so just do a couple little white lines there. And we'll mix some black and brown. Do some dots for the tops of those. And then let's take some phthalo green with our brown. Just kind of let it fade down into the other green. All right, looks nice. All right, let's move forward to this one. We need some pink, magenta, a little blue, a little black. This one's kind of in shadow here. Take some of that white, the ochre, and black. I can just go over here and then build up. I'm actually going to switch back to my angled brush because I think I can get a little better lines with that brush. Alright, good. Let's take more of that white and black. Make it dark right here. And then we've got some white for this flower. Kind of comes in there. And it fades into that dark pink. Coming down. Take a little black. Just touch up this section down here. And we need to use some black, midnight blue, and white. And some pink too for the underside of this one. And I'll take some brown and black. Pinks. Just darken this a little more. There we go. And I'm going to put a little bit of green and brown. I'm just going to touch up the spot right here. It's like a little shadowy spot that I missed before. That's better. Alright, bringing it back. Got our white and pink. And we got just like some pure pink right there. Got like a lip of pink on this one. Kind of sticks up. And we'll take some green, black, a little bit of that Bordeaux. Just kidding, we're gonna take some Bordeaux and magenta, a little bit of violet, just underline this one. So we get that shape. I'll take a little bit of black, those darker colors. And we need our pink with our gray for the underside of this one. Just gonna put a little highlight there. And there's a little bit of white on the top. And we'll take a little bit of our white with that tiny bit of ochre. Starting to brighten these up a little bit. Coming up to the center. Just kind of let it fade into a darker color at the base. Just brightening it up in a couple spots. And I'm going to add a little bit of midnight blue. This one's a little more in the shadows. Take some of our green. Yeah, let's get a little more phthalo in there. Okay. And this one, let's see, we got this. This is like that middle part. Comes down. And I need a shadow. Take a little black and magenta. Just add a shadow under this one. There we go. Now they're separating. Take a little more of that. Take just some pink for this one. I'm gonna take just some pure pink and brighten up the sides of some of these. Just let it blend into those whites. There's a little green at the tips. A little more white to blend. And take a little bit of that green. Some phthalo green, Bordeaux. And a little bit of that brown. And we'll just fix the edge of these a little bit. And then we're going to take our liner brush and use some magenta, white. Get the paint nice and thin down with some water. And just add little lines. And some dark brown and black. And green for these guys. Alright, next let's move over to this guy where we don't see too much of that flower. Take some pink, magenta, and a tiny dab of black. Let's put that right there. And that's where we got that little bit of that part showing. And then we see, let's see, he's got like white. Get some of the pink off my brush. We got white with some black, ochre. This is what the underside looks like. Gets a little more ochre-y and dark at the base. And it kind of pulls down a little bit there. You can see a little bit of a pink one here. Add a little magenta and black to separate it. You don't want your flowers to get too like washed up with each other. You want them to stand out from one another. A little bit of brown in there. And let's see, let's get some bright pink. All right, then we'll take our liner brush again. Just add a few of these little, water it down a little bit too. Add a few more of these little guys. And a little darker. Okay, I'm just gonna fix this little branch here, a leaf. Just gonna put it forward in front of that one, but behind that one. I'm just going to add a highlight to a couple more of these little stems while I'm at it. Okay, moving forward to these two. Start with this one. Just take some white, a little bit of ochre, put that right here, going up to the center and down to the center of the flower. Some right here on this one. It's a nice bright spot right here. Right here is pretty light. Same with over here. And I'm gonna go ahead and do this over here too, where they're a little more in shadow. And a little brown. Okay, now I'll take some pink and white and let these kind of fade into each other. Do a nice little blend. A little magenta right at the edge there. Just some pink on the edge of this one. Bring it down the sides so it stands out. And some whites. A little bit of like white and shadow over there. Let's take a little more pink. The sides of this one. Just let it blend into the white again. A little more pink. And then we got things in shadow down here, so we're gonna take some black with this green and some pink and just put it right there. And touch this up, this kind of goes down into that. This fade into the white. I'll mix a little bit of white with that. Start things a little darker in here. And just kind of keep adding more white and let it fade up into the other white. There we go. Now let's take a little more white and brighten up this center part on this one. And this one. And then we've got one right here. It fades down into that darker gray color. And we can do a little shadow under that one. And around here. A brown. Magenta with pink. In this section here, it's kind of more in shadow. I'm just going to touch up this spot right there. Now we can add our little green, so we're going to take that olivey color, start to add a little bit of that on here. Touching up this shape on this one. And what What else can we do? There's a little more white right there. A little highlight right there. And right around here. Just gotta get a little darker shadow under this one. And I think we can take our liner brush now and do some magenta, pink, water the paint down. I'm going to take some white and a little bit of pink and just add some highlights to a few of these. Just make them stand out a little better. Then we'll take our black. A little bit of green. Add a few of these. I'm gonna add a little highlight onto these ones because they're dark. There's a dark background, so you don't want them to blend in too much. Guess I'll add a little highlight to all of them then. There we go. Alright, looking good. And now this last one. Then we'll just do some refining. Alright, let's start with some pink. Right here. And I guess we can mix a little bit of midnight blue into the pink since it's kind of in shadow. And we'll just get this. This one. And blend it into the pink. Same thing with this one and this one. And add a little more blue. Ooh, that was way too much blue to your pink. If you did too much like that, just make a new color blending area where it's not quite so blue. And you can pull these colors down there. I think brown might be a better combo for this color. There we go. Mix a little brown with your pink for the shadowy colors. And we'll just use some pink for this one. And this guy here. Back to the white. Just let it blend. More pink. And I'll take some green, brown, white, a little black. And that could be like the inside, the flower color that we can't see too much of, but it kind of comes out and fades into the other colors. And it's pretty dark. Like right in here. And then it gets lighter. All right, let's take some magenta and outline a few of these petals so they stand out better. And then the white. There we go. This one's got more pink. And let's take some more white for this one. This one's a little brighter. Same with this guy over here, it's a little brighter. All right, we'll take our olive green. Start to add that at the center of these three. Let it fade down into the other colors. And add a little bit of it to these other ones, the other three. Just a little bit. And I made that a little too much there, so I'm just gonna fix that. There we go. And I'm going to darken this up again a little more. Cover my green one more time there. Alright, looking good. Gotta touch up something here. Just add a little purple line, or pink. Alright, and then we'll take our liner brush, get our pink and white and magenta. And one more magenta. And just get these guys coming out here. And then the black, green, brown. Just for these ones. Alright, that's the basics. Next we can just start to add a little more detail and brighten some things up to bring it to life a little bit more. If you think this looks finished, then you're welcome to call this completed for yourself. Mixing some olive green and yellow, a little bit of Bordeaux, a little phthalo blue, and white. I'll mix a little brown in there too. And phthalo green. And a little more white. And I'm just going to add some more highlights onto these leaves to make them stand out in some little sections here. And some shadows. Just take phthalo green with midnight and a little Bordeaux. Couple more little highlights. Let's just brighten up some of these sections of the purple. So I'm going to take some magenta and white, a little bit of phthalo. And I'll take a little magenta there too. And we'll just brighten up a couple of these spots. And then you can blend it by just taking the extra paint off your brush and kind of swirling the brush around. And make these a little more purple. I think the trickiest parts about this painting are the petals that aren't oriented in a like standard way, like the petals that are oriented where you see a weird angle. Take some more magenta. You can just take some straight up magenta and add that to some spots too. Alright, can add one more white to that too. And then this guy, use a little more pink. And some magenta. Let's go to this one. There's that dark one. Let's just take a little white and purple or violet and brighten that up. A little bit on this one. Just gonna refine the edges a little better so you can separate these flowers. And you can warm up the flower by just kind of lightly brushing a little bit of your magenta or your violet over the flower petals. Take some white. Let's lighten up these. Get some more magenta for this spot. A little black there for the darker shadow. Yeah, let's do some white and purple. Brighten this all up. Now we gotta darken this part. Let's take a little black and do that. And we'll take some magenta, white, brighten this one up. Then we can just take some pure magenta and go over a couple of these lines that we put in here, little markings. I think I made some of them just a little too dark, so I'm lightening them back up. And I'll take our liner brush and just get a little bit of purple with white and touch up these. Make them a little lighter again. Just take a little bit more white and green. There. 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 Just brightening up my highlights is making everything stand out just a little more. Just mixing some of my green and white. Alright, and we can darken up these little guys at the base. And add a little more highlight on them. And then let's just take like a little bit of pink, black, and white and just add a couple little subtle petal lines, because these have like little lines in them. Using the angled brush. And same thing with the white for a little highlight. This kind of helps to bring these to life a little more. Take a little more magenta and ochre and build up the color just a little bit more in here. Just kind of warming up the color in a couple little spots. Kind of brings it to life a little more. I'll brighten this a little bit more right here. And on that edge there. And there we go. There's our finished painting. So this is kind of what my angle was looking like as I was painting the flowers, just to give you an idea. Alright, that concludes my painting tutorial for today. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you recreated any one of these 3 paintings back there, I'd love to see it. You can post it on Instagram and tag me, the painting Stoof. That's my page, so I can see your paintings. Again, thanks for watching. Have a great day and happy painting. Bye-bye.